Welcome to Thursdays at the Museum. I'm Ian Rapnicki with the DIA. Today we'll be hearing a few musical performances. This summer, the Great Lakes Chamber Music Festival hosted two summer festivals, one that took place in June with a live audience, and then one in July that streamed concerts virtually into homes. And today we'll be hearing some highlights of the virtual concerts. But first, I want to introduce Manager of Music Programming at the DIA, Rudy Lauerman, and he's here to speak with the president of the Great Lakes Chamber Music Festival, Maury Oken. Thanks for being here, fellas, and y'all can start chit-chatting.
Hi, Maury.
Hi, Rudy. How are you?
I'm real good. Welcome to Thursdays at the Museum.
My pleasure.
It's great to be working with you again. We've been doing this for years. The DI has collaborated with the festival for many years now, being a venue. Just to let everybody know, if you could just give us a little brief history before we get to the music of the festival and just the challenges we had this year with presenting both live and virtual.
Sure. Well, the festival in a typical year, the festival does 2 weeks, extensive 2 weeks of concerts that go between our sponsoring institutions, which are St. Hugo the Hills, Kirk in the Hills, and Temple Bethel, three religious congregations that represent Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish faiths. But it's a secular institution, the festival, and I work for Detroit Chamber Winds and Strings, which actually helps produce it with those three organizations. And, of these 20 concerts, some occur at those venues, but some occur all over the city. And the DIA has been a great partner for us, as you've mentioned, for many years, actually, for us and for many organizations. It's funny, really, when we started doing the festival years and years ago, the DIA was sort of like an island that didn't reach out very much. But over the course of time, the DIA has really worked hard to become sort of a center of the cultural universe of the community. And now all kinds of great things go on there, including the three concerts that we've typically done there. So this year, in addition to doing live concerts, we did a small outdoor thing in a tent at Temple Bethel. We did 5 concerts over a week. That was pretty great, actually. The weather was kind, the tent was great, and it just sort of worked. But we also did 2 weeks later, we broadcast those out along with some special concerts that we had created especially for the DIA, because the DIA, as I said, has hosted so many great things over the years, and it allowed us to sort of stretch our imagination in many ways. It's one of the great things about working with the museum. So the particular concert that we're going to hear, we're actually hearing 2/3 of a concert because it was a little bit too long for this particular presentation. We're going to hear a piece by Jessie Montgomery called Strum, and we're going to hear the Brahms G minor piano quartet, which is a really iconic work. But first, let's start with Jessie Montgomery's piece called Strum. This is performed for us by the Avalis Quartet.
Yeah, that was a great piece. It's strummed by Jessie Montgomery. Maura, I know you have a bit of a history with Jessie and the festival. Can you just give us a little background on that?
Sure. Yeah, I thought that was a great performance, Rudy. That's actually the first I heard it since the performance itself, and beautifully recorded, I should say, as well. So congratulations. So Jessie Montgomery, we have a program. The festival has a program called the Schaus Institute, where we bring young ensembles to the festival every year. And we also are in a partnership with the Sphinx organization, which provides us one of those young ensembles. And maybe 7 or 8 years ago, they sent us a group called the Catalyst Quartet, wonderful young quartet that still exists and is having a great career. But one of the violinists was Jessie Montgomery. So she was here as a violinist, as a member of our Schaus Institute. But she went on to have a great career as a composer, and she since has given up playing in the quartet and having a career as an instrumentalist, and she's become quite a famous composer. The piece that you heard, Strum, maybe her most famous piece, and it's sort of becoming a standard of contemporary chamber music in its own way. The most exciting thing for Jessie most recently is that she was named composer in residence of the Chicago Symphony for the next 3 years, which for the young person is like amazing, and that's like as good as it gets. And I like the symmetry of it, because this particular performance was by the Avalos Quartet, which was also sent to us by the Sphinx organization. They're sort of following in the footsteps of the Catalyst Quartet. The Avalos Quartet, who you heard, actually got started at the University of Michigan a couple of years ago, and now they are in residence at the University of Colorado, working with the Takash Quartet. 4 really great young people. So that's our Jessie Montgomery. The piece itself, Strum, Jessie's music, she uses a lot of vernacular folk music as a big part of what she does. And it's an interesting tie to the next piece that we'll hear. We'll talk about in a minute, to the Brahms piano quartet, which is also based on Hungarian folk music, as you know, Rudy. So we're happy to be able to present concerts like this. The DIA has been doing a lot of these things over the years. Rudy, do you happen to recall how we got started doing concerts at the DIA, and what were the criteria that you had there?
I started working with the festival as a recording engineer back, I think, when it first started. And once I started doing music programming at the DIA, I had the Brunch with Bach series, and I believe I had the idea to have that as a venue for the festival. So I think it started out as just a single concert every year, and then we expanded. We started doing the Friday night shows, and we would do Friday and the Brunch with Bach. So Friday and Sunday we would do shows, and then we've just done it. We've grown over the years, I think.
Yeah, well, the museum's, as I said, done such a great job of reaching into the community and doing things. You could see in that video that concert was done in a tent, right? And it was just an interesting sort of experience for us getting into the tent. Before the festival, we were trying to decide, do we do things live? Do we do things virtual? Do we do a combination? Do we go inside? Do we go outside? And those decisions were being made back in March, and nobody sort of knew where the pandemic was going. I guess that's still sort of the same. Nobody sort of knows where the pandemic is going. We did those concerts at a time when people were feeling pretty optimistic in June, right? But to sort of hedge our bets, we did those concerts live, and then we did a virtual festival, the same concerts and some more concerts that we did as well. And we did those all 2 or 3 weeks later. They're all available on our website and on our YouTube channel. And I'm understanding it's all going to be available on yours as well, Rudy. That's correct?
Correct. Yeah. Just keep an eye on the website for updates.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about the Brahms that's coming. This was relatively young, and Brahms was a young guy when he wrote these pieces. They're also incredibly famous. They're like staples of the piano quartet repertoire. It's an interesting story here, because you're going to see that there's a young first violinist named Tessa Lark. And Tessa's, I don't know even know if she's 30 yet, but she's already on a great career. And curiously, this was her first performance of this piece, as opposed to Paul Watkins or Alessio Bax, who are playing on the other instruments. And those are guys who could play this piece without rehearsing it. They've played it so often, they know how it goes. It's a wonderful piece that sort of plays itself, but the story that I like about it is Tessa Lark is from, I can't remember, Kentucky or West Virginia, someplace like that. And she's also a very good bluegrass player, which you don't expect in a classical violinist. And so the folk music, classical music, going back and forth is in her blood, and she takes it quite seriously. So in the Brahms, you'll see this in the last movement especially. Brahms got into this thing about, especially using Hungarian folk songs. Everybody knows the Hungarian dances. The Brahms Hungarian dances became very famous. That's a little later. But this is sort of his first entree into that stuff. And so you can hear the Hungarian influence so strongly in the piece. It's in the fourth movement. So this is a full piece. This is a 38-minute piece of just great music. It's often done at festivals like ours at the end because it's sort of everybody jumps up and yells at the end because it's got just a great ending, but it's a great 38 minutes coming beforehand. So why don't we share that with our audience, Rudy, and we'll go from there.
Let's do it. That was exciting.
Still a great piece.
That was great. Yeah, and since it was a long piece, for those who just tuned in during the performance, you want to share what we just heard, maybe where we can hear some more?
Oh, sure. That was the Brahms G minor piano quartet. It was presented by the Great Lakes Chamber Music Festival. You can hear 8 concerts that we performed last summer. You can see them on our website or on our YouTube channel. And I did want to say one thing about that piece. Somebody asked during the concert. One of the things about chamber music festivals is you bring a whole bunch of musicians together in a short period of time. So if you typically go to a chamber music concert, you go to a string quartet concert, you see the same 4 people on the stage and they play different pieces and it's great. Chamber music festival is a little different because you have more pieces to mix and match and you do it in shorter bursts. So a concert will have different combinations of instruments on it. So it gives you an increased sense of variety on the concert, and it gives you maybe a certain kind of excitement in exchange for a certain kind of polish from the same 4 people playing the same piece over and over again for a bunch of times. The cellist of that performance, Paul Watkins, is the artistic director of the Great Lakes Chamber Music Festival. His job basically is to get the artists together and to pick the music that they do, and that's a great manifestation of Paul's talent. He's really, really good at it. So the violinist, Tessa Lark, the pianist, Alessio Bax, and the violist is a young woman named Cindy Wu, wonderful violinist, violist from California.
Fantastic. Yeah, great. Seems like y'all know what you're doing over there. It seemed really natural. I'm really grateful to hear that in the middle of the day. I think there were some comments that suggested a similar sentiment. It's really great way to break up the day, and I'm excited to see some more of that content. Yeah, and thanks for everyone who did leave a comment or did tune in today. Just wanted to remind you all that we do something every Thursday. Occasionally we have wonderful music like this. Next week we're discussing Mexican folk art with artist Mario Mendez at 1 p.m. But again, I just want to thank you all for tuning in today, and thank you, Maury, for coming. Thank you, Rudy, for chatting. This was great.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.
See you next week.